Aloha, everyone. Tuesday was pretty much a flat session in the overall stock market. Volume might have been slightly higher on the NASDAQ and slightly higher on the New York Stock Exchange, but it's both below average. And with the Dow Jones Industrial Average up, kind of giving us a mixed market overall, it's basically a flat day. The Russell 2000, though, if we look at the oscillators, we can see TSV and MACD starting to uptrend a little bit on the short term, so that's good. There's plenty of room for these oscillators to run before they become overbought. Same with stochastics and RSI. RSI is retaken the 50% level. Stochastics is getting there, but they've turned up nicely off the lows. And the Russell 2000 overall still looks very, very, very good and looks in solid position to continue higher. Now going to the weakest of all these averages, the Dow Jones Transportation Average. It's still kind of in a trading range below the recent May lows. And the 50-day moving average, I moved back above the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, I believe will be a successful retest of all of these recent April, February, January support levels. But the Dow Jones Transportation still looks weak, and the oscillator still confirming the weakness. Nothing really too super strong there. Dow Jones Industrial Average led the day today higher, new all-time highs. The oscillators, short term, they're now trending higher, and so they look like that they have room to run. The S&P 500, as you can see here, barely down today, but the oscillators also short-term trying to trend higher. So a lot of these market indexes look a lot better, but they still don't look great. The NASDAQ 100 still isn't really confirming its upside movement. RSI is good, but stochastics, MACD, and TSV leaves a lot to the imagination. But if you're focusing on the NASDAQ 100, you're probably wondering where all the leading stocks are. We own them all. We are fully invested, and we've been nearly fully invested for a week plus now, and even better off, which shows that everything's going well. My hedges still are working, TZA and DRV. I'm sure they'll fail at some point if we continue higher, but even they are working, and we have no partial sell signals and no full sell signals tonight. And for the first time in a long time, I can't remember the last time, no sell stops hit intraday. Nothing, not a zilch, not $1 in commission was spent on sells. So that's very impressive. Now that being said, two of my new long positions, BMRN, they're down like 2% after hours, and SRNE is down like 6% now after hours. So, the new longs aren't quite killing it, the brand newest ones. But overall, you can't complain when everything's working. And right, basically everything is uptrending. So nothing to go over there. We have no real high quality long positions. I thought the AN was a recent earnings winner, and I wanted to get long AN here because it looks like MCGC did right after its earnings win, like back here. And just like Hill did after its earnings win right here. So I was thinking to get long AN, but I found out that AN is a buyout target at $47 per share. So AN is out based on that reason. And then a second great reason is that move is not obviously due to earnings, because earnings are on the 22nd. So earnings are right around the corner. We're only going to have 2 days before we know we're wrong. And with it being a takeover rumor, that's it. So AN was the only long position I was thinking of. Some other flagged ones, PATK, Perfect Speculator, scan quality stock, but after that sell-off early, I just don't like the symmetry and the arithmetic chart. And that goes with Tree, following Tree sell-off. I just don't like what I see. I'm sure they'll work. I'm like almost 100% sure, but I'm not a big fan. And Man H was another long consideration, but once again, it had that ugly sell-off session. All three of these did. TRE. How strange is that? Every single one that I liked tonight had an ugly sell-off day, and I think it's all on the same day, which means that must have been a bad day for the market, or maybe not. Yep. Yeah. Lines up perfectly almost, doesn't it? But Man H was probably the better one. I just, damn it, base isn't long enough for that kind of move that we saw at the end of April. So whatever. So I'm passing on all those, and then MTSL, that's pretty tight. That looks like it wants to break out. NSP is pretty tight. Looks like it wants to break out. And then Tile, a current holding, looks like that it wants to break out too. So there are some coiling patterns out there and stocks that I like, and CLRO is also another one coiling. So TRCH, even more speculative, but they're out there. The two new long positions tonight is two speculative ones. The first one I'll go over is PCOM. Showed up in my price volume BOP scan. Did not show up in any other scan. It would have been in the BOP green for 20-day scan, but it has some yellow BOP here, it has some yellow BOP here. But if I ran like another scan I was thinking of creating, which was BOP over 0 for 30 days, PCOM qualifies. PCOM has had BOP over 0 for 30 days in a row, and it's basically been green and yellow and strong the entire way, never really too weak. The yellow never really dropped, even after that ugly move in May. And today it's surging on it's moving higher, on a surge in volume and a surge in green BOP, producing a pocket pivot point buy signal. I got to get long because even if I'm wrong, I only risk 4% to that level if I'm wrong. And then if I go ahead and use my final sell stop level, I'm risking about 5% if I use the 1125 level. So 1125 level, 1126 level, 1141 level, or if you want today's intraday low, 1166, it's up to you. My sell stop will be on the books 1126, but if it closes below 1141 on heavy volume, I'll be out of it there. And then HIL is technically giving me an add signal, but because I passed on the initial long signal, which first day I wanted to buy it was here, but I was like, yeah, it's not a perfect earnings winner, not finishing near the day's high. Then I wanted to buy it here, and I was like, you know what, I like this a lot. I'm going to go ahead and get long this, earnings winner here. But then I looked back on it, and I think that Tile was the one I bought. And 5.6, I can try to see if I can remember. But there was also like HELE, and I remember thinking, well, these earnings winner I like better because they're all hitting new highs. HIL, not only is it not hitting a new high, but it's a low price stock, and so I just don't like it as much. So I passed on it because basically heavily invested, and I marked it as a new long, and then I marked it out. So HIL was not a new long. Obviously, that was a mistake, as a fill at 510 would now have us gains at 535, and today's big intraday reversal with the close at the high of the day on heavier volume with BOP staying max green the entire I don't know if it was the entire session, but BOP ending up at max green following that big intraday reversal. HIL is definitely getting an add signal, so it would be 0.5% because it's only in the BOP for 5 day max green BOP for 5 days scan. It is not in the price volume BOP scan. But since it's initial new long and we don't risk much if we're long, you can still do 1%. I have no money in the cash account, so HIL and PCOM do not go in there. HIL and PCOM go into my margin accounts 1%.